Good day, welcome to MPD. MPD, what's that I hear you say? New project day, MPD. So there you go. Got a corker on the bench today. Again, another new client, someone who found me on Facebook. I'm going to show you what it is, and you'll know what it is. You say, oh, that's a Strat. So yeah, it's a Strat. It's a Fender. It's one of the three bolt jobbers. Yeah, that's right, it's a Fender. And you say, oh, that headstock looks big. I say, yeah, you'd be absolutely right. It is one of the big headstock version of a Fender USA Strat. This is a 1977 model. Like I say, new client, he's seen me work. Fender knobs there, tuners. Fender Stratocaster, original contour body, patented, blah 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 blah. Fender Stratocaster, made in USA, of course it's USA. Bullet truss rod. Serial number on there, S78, blah 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 blah. You can have a glimpse if you like. Belongs to a new client. And it's coming for, what's it coming for? Well, there's no strings on it, no knot on it. You can normally think, it's coming for a refret. That's what we do here at Fret Friend. We do refrets. And he don't muck about the owner of this. He doesn't want weedy little frets. He says I like big chunky frets. Now he's not having super jumbo, but he is having jumbo frets. And I'm going to go with a new wire on this one, which I recommended to him. A new wire by a company called Boston, and the fret wire is the fret itself. It's 2.7mm wide and 1.4 high, so it's what I'd call a medium jumbo. I'm going with 18% nickel silver, which I've been trying a lot of new fret wires out lately. I've been going with Hosco, which I love. I've gone with some Luthertech stuff, which I also love. I've had some Syntoms, which again I love, and now I'm going with a brand called Boston. Never used it before, picked some up on eBay recently. 18% nickel silver, 2.7mm wide, 1.4 high. The reason I like using high fret wire is you're going to get a lot of fret dressers out of it in the future. Now, with it being 18% nickel silver anyway, it's going to last for years. It sits between the hardness of stainless steel, which I don't use, and regular 12%, which is regular 12% is alright, you get a good 6, 7, 8 years out of it, but 18% sits in the middle, so it's quite hard. It's the same hardness as something like your Gold Evo by Jescar. So it's hard fret wire, it's going to last for years and years. I use the 18% on all my refrets now, and I've been doing quite a few refrets. I love working on these old Fenders, but the thing with the old Fenders, like it's going to have a 7 1/4 inch radius, which is fine, but the frets in the early days, they weren't just hammered in top down, they were put in top down, then they were knocked in sideways. So your tang is not only gripping in, it's pushed sideways. So when you rip these out, you're going to get some splitting, some chipping around here. So we have to take these out really carefully. So what I do is I've got an adapted solder iron, which I use just for removing frets, and it's got a groove in it, and it sits over the frets. And we get some good heat in there until we see the glue. We either hear it sizzle or we get a little bit of smoke out there, and it means then we can pull the fret. We're going to pull the frets. We're going to try and get as little chipping as possible. Not that even if there is chipping, I mean the thing is if there is chipping we can fix it anyway. You've seen all my older videos, so we can sort out anyway. Plus the new fret wire is going to be a bit wider than this and certainly higher. So we can hide chipping. What I like to do is I don't want to get any chipping, and if we do get any chipping I'm going to glue the chips back in, and we're going to dress it all up and get it all levelled off. We'll sand the fingerboard down itself. Now if you ever look at the strip of rosewood on there, it's very thin. So what I like to do with these, I don't like to remove any material. All I'm going to do when I sand it is I'll get a 7 1/4 radius block on there, and we'll sand off any residue glue, but we won't go deep into the wood. I've done quite a few of these lately. We don't need to go deep. We don't need to take any surface off of wood. All we're going to do is we're just going to slightly take the glue off and probably reshape it where it needs reshaping in any area, but we're not going to remove any excessive material. So again, for me, pretty straightforward type of job. Maybe I should charge a little bit more for these Fenders, knocking that with the chipping and that. Maybe I'll consider that. It's also going to need a new nut. I only use Fender nuts made of cyclovac. I use a blank and I carve it myself. You know all about that. I order them in bulk now. I've got half a dozen in the drawer over there. Just whiz one out. Where is it? Where are they? They might be. It's going to be in here. These gubbins. I'm doing that many Fenders lately. I've started buying quite a few of these in. Here you go. Blah blah blah. I've got half a dozen there. we'll stick one of them in and we'll recarve it, blah 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 blah. So that is gonna do that. The guys paid a good chunk of money in advance on this one, so it's not a great earner for me, but that doesn't matter. I've been paid for it. There's a little hole in the fingerboard there I'm going to fill in. It's going to be a lovely project, this one. I love doing these guitars. Like I say, as always with these type of guitars, or any guitar really, take your time. You really got to take your time with these frets, because you don't want, we've got lacquer on the edges here, so we don't be carving into that. Take your time removing these frets, and we have a little, we'll cause as little damage as possible to the fingerboard. It means it'll be easier to get the refret done. One thing I've got to be aware of, or beware of, is these frets. The tangs on these aren't that deep, so I need to make sure that the tangs on the new frets going in be quite a lot deeper than this. So I'm going to have to recut the slots in the fingerboard as well. Something else I've got to watch out for, be careful about. Good thing about it is I've got a fret slotting jig I bought from a luthier not long ago. A good friend of mine, Clive Eastwood from Beaver Guitars, spelled Belvoir Guitars, and he's not using it anymore because he's doing it all on his table saw, his fret slots. So I've actually got the piece of kit, so I can get the neck in there, get it all set up, and we can cut the slots to the actual depth of the fret tang, and we're not going to have to cut into the neck or anything like that. We're not going to make any mistakes, or we're not going to chop into anything we don't need to. So that's it. I'm going to crack on with it. I know this intro's been a little bit long-winded. Well, 6.5 minutes, pretty good. I'm going to do the usual stuff. I'm going to remove the neck. I'm going to bolt the neck to a nice good thick piece of MDF, like I've got a 30mm thick piece of MDF, which will take the neck, which means we can work on and above the MDF rather than have to put it on a jig. Don't need to put this on a jig. As long as we can get the neck exactly straight, proper straight. We're going to take the tuners off so we can get the neck supported underneath, get it perfectly flat and level, all regular things. What I'll do is I'll get the frets out, get the tuners off, get the neck straight, get it all clamped up, and then I'll come back with another update later on. I'm going to do quite a conclusive, maybe I won't a video over work, but what I'm going to do is this video is going to be quite explanatory, not so much long-winded, but I'm going to explain every part of the process of the job, because it's a special guitar, it's a new customer, and we're going to let him see you know, virtually every single step of the process. So bear with, I'll be back later with another update. Just back briefly, remove the neck. Like I say, 3-bolt affair, no shim. I just noticed with this one, it's got a regular 2 screws and a bolt. This bolt screws into a plate in the body. Not in the body, in the neck itself. Look, there's a plate in there because it's got the micro adjuster on there, and that's a bolt that goes in there. So I'm going to have to replace that with a screw to get it screwed to the MDF. Something else I want to just show and just highlight is I'll remove the tuners, and when I remove the tuners I like to put them back in the exact same position they come off in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a pen and I'm going to write down the string, or what tuner they are, which position they go in. So E, A, D, G, B, top E. So there you go. Get them all marked up like so, and all I do then is I'll take a screwdriver and I'll split the tape between the strings, so we know blah 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 blah, and that's all split. And now I can remove each one, and each one's labelled what string it is, where it goes. Just something I like to do myself, and then we'll peel all this off at the end there. That way, you see, if I don't want to be changing anything that's standard with the guitar itself. You know, if these tuners are here, that's how they've been set. Why go swapping about? Sometimes they're staggered, the higher and lower and lower and lower, or sometimes they're staggered this way. You know, it's just nice to put things back the way they were. You don't be altering too much. Same with the setup. And I'll alter anything on the setup until I've got the guitar back together. Then I'll check it, and if it needs adjusting again, we'll adjust it again. So there you go with that. Going to crack on with remove these tuners. I'll come back again later. So we've now got the neck bolted to a piece of 30mm thick MDF. This side is supported underneath with something as technical as 4 or 5 business cards to keep the neck nice and straight. We've got it all levelled off. We've been across with the notch straight edge, making sure it's perfectly level. Not that that needs to be done on this part of the process, which is removing the frets. It's just for later on. Once I get ready to refret, I'll have this end and this end packed up with business cards, so it's perfectly level all the way across for when we get the new frets in. So that's it, mini update, back again later. Right, kind of a worst case scenario with this guitar neck, because it's chipping absolutely everywhere. And I'm going to bring it up close, and I'm being really careful removing these frets. In fact, when I'm pulling them out, we're actually breaking up the frets, so it's really difficult to remove them. You can see the chip in here, so I'm going to have to try. I've already glued some back there. I'm going to have to do the same again. So this guitar, unfortunately, it's going to take me. I've got to be very careful. It's going to take me more time than I realised, so there'll be a little bit of an additional charge on top, as is always explained in my on my Facebook page. You know, when it comes to work like this, if we've got chipping and stuff, it's going to take more time to put right. I just wanted to show how they're coming out. I can put the camera. If I'm not going to put the camera on one, you're going to take my word for it anyway. But yeah, I'm getting chipping because what's happened is, when Fender put the frets in, they press them in, then they knock them sideways, so the tang grips. And now when I'm pulling them out, look at what's happening here. They're all chewing up at the ends. They're really difficult to get out, and the tangs are pulling up chips. So I've got to repair them chips basically straight away as soon as they happen. Just glue them back into place. Just wanted to show that, just to highlight, you know, what more work I've got to do on this. That'll be it. Back again, and I'm going to show you the problem I'm having with these frets, and I'm going to zoom in, and this is where we are, and you see where I'm getting all the chipping. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually remove a fret on camera. You can see where I've actually glued in all the chipping. Now this is going to be, you're not going to see this once it's all sanded down and the new frets are in. I'm just showing the problem, and this is why it's taking me longer to do this. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove a fret. First I'm going to heat it up. We're just going to melt the old glue. Now if this is a matter of them just being pressed in, melt the old glue, we could pull them out really easily. And on most guitars this is how it works, you pull them, you get them out really easily. But with these being knocked in sideways after they've been hammered pressed in, we're obviously getting chipping where the tang is pulling out. And this is a problem we have with these guitars, these old Fenders. We already know about this. We just hope and pray that this is not the case on the guitar we have in question. You know, this just happens to be one that is having that problem. So what I'm going to do is I've got it nice and heated up. You see all the sweat coming off the old glue there. We're going to try and remove it. We have to take it from this edge, and we're going to get these nippers right in. Here you go. Now you can see here I'm doing a little bit at a time. We've got enough heat in there, but the chipping, see it here and all down here. And what I'm having to do is I'm having to go across, get some super glue under there, and all down this area. And all we're doing is we're going to get some glue on there. And underneath that area I'll go with a point, and we'll roll and press down and get these chips back in place. And not only that, once I've done this, I've then got to remove this excess glue. So that's it, you see. And that's where you can see it's pressing in. It's just taking me a lot longer, and it's making a right mess of the fingerboard. So like I say, I don't want to take any major material off here. So when I come to sanding this down and re-radiusing, I'll be sanding all this off again, and we'll get it all smooth. And then what we'll do is, we'll go in with something like, I've got a fine razor saw. And what we'll do is we'll just keep these slots clear. And all we'll do is just a couple of passes, just to keep the slot clear for now. And we'll saw these back to where they need to be. Again, when I come to doing the refret, but we just want to keep those slots clear. Got a bit of resistance there. So this is all about taking your time. It's going to take me a little bit longer to do these. Maybe a couple of hours, maybe an hour and a half longer. It's going to put 25 quid on the job, that's all, it's nothing major. So that's it, that's the problem I'm having. And just to show again, I'll go again. Now that one actually came out easier than the rest have done. I mean, this chipping cannot be avoided. It's nothing to worry about. It's just it's a bit, you know, it takes a little longer to get this put right. We can't put new frets into a knackered fretboard. We need to clean the fretboard up and get it all right before we put new frets in. So we'll just get some heat in there. You see the sweat coming off, building up at the side. That's steam and melted glue. The old glue's not the problem on these frets, it's the way the frets have been put in. I don't think Fender do it anymore. We don't knock them in sideways, because then they're easier to remove. Good thing about the new fret job we're doing, we're going with hard frets. It won't need refretting, this won't, afterwards. Unless, maybe in 25 years it will. So again, we take it right from the edge. You see, look, and that's just chewed up the fret. Here you go, massive chip in there. And this is a problem with these old Fenders, is chipping all the way along this. Yeah, absolutely all the way along. So the chipping cannot be avoided. I mean, that's quite bad along there. I'm going to try and run some glue inside. I'm going straight across the whole lot of this. I'm going to let it soak a second. Things this has to be cleaned up again later, like I said. So I'm having to do this on every fret. Worst case scenario this is, it's like you don't really want this, but it happens, it's fine. I mean, at the end of the day, I'm just going to get on with it. I just wanted this on video. And that's it, I'm going to rub it all in. And as you can see, that's saved the chipping, but this has all got to be cleaned up again later. Nightmare for a guitar tech. And there you go. So that's the problem I've got. I'm going to crack on, get all the rest out, get them all glued in, and we'll come back with an update when I'm ready for sanding this all flat again. Well, what a day I've had. Worst thing about it probably is my laptop didn't turn up today, so still filming videos. I can't get them on my computer. This is now the 24th video I've filmed in the last week, or 24th part of video. I don't know how much room's left on that, but anyway, let's blob on with this guitar. Got the frets out, sanded all the glue off, and I've re-radiused the fingerboard, taking off minimal amount of material. So see we've already removed any material off there in the rosewood, and I'm going to show you the neck as it is now. It's all nice and smooth, ready for refretting. Well, I say ready for refretting. I've got to cut these slots properly with a guitar saw. I've got a steel guitar saw, but I just want to highlight we have actually got some quite bad chipping in some areas, mainly on this fret here. There are 3 good chips out of that. We've got about a dozen chipped areas now. Considering that these frets go in sideways and you pull them out from the top, 12 chipped areas really is not bad at all. It's going to be nothing for me to get them filled. I'll use the old trick of using some rosewood dust, which I've got a big bag of. With some rosewood dust in these chips, and we'll drop a bit of super glue in there, and we'll just sand them flat. So easy. Most of the smaller ones, if there are any smaller ones, will be hidden by the new frets, because we're going in with wide frets anyway. So this is going to go absolutely fine. I've left the fingerboard dirty. I've just sanded it down. I used 80 grit just to get the shape, or just get the glue off, and I've gone with 400 grit just to smooth it off. The neck's absolutely straight. Like I say, I'm going to go now with my fret slotting saw. Might even get it on my fret slotting jig, which I've not used properly yet. And I'm going to cut these, because the tang on the wire is 1/2 mil. Now I think these slots are 1/2 mil anyway, so it should be fine. But I'm just going to saw in, just make sure we've got the width right. These holes here, like I say, these chips here, I'm going to fill these in once the frets are. I'm going to glue the frets in, as I've started doing regularly. There's a little bit of chip in there. I'm going to glue the frets in. Once the frets are glued in, these holes will get some dust in there. We'll get them all filled in. You won't even know. I've already shown the owner of this guitar a job I just did on a Tokai, where there was a lot of chipping as well. Now to see, there's no chipping at all on the fingerboard. So absolutely no problem there. I'm going to make sure it's all smoothed off, and I'm going to crack on with it. And that's really it for now. Right, so we've got the frets out. We've got quite a bit of chipping, not too much so. We're about 12 areas where we've got some chipping, but the worst part of the chipping is here on this 14th fret area with 3 good chips in that. absolutely nothing to worry about. I've just refretted one of these very similar necks, and it had a lot of chipping like this, and now it's got over frets and everything. We've filled them all in. We've filled them in rosewood dust, dropped some super glue in there, sanded off again. I've left all the marks on the fingerboard where I've just sanded. Not going to worry about anything like that because we're going to oil it all up anyway later. All I need to do is I need to just cut these slots with my guitar saw. I've got a 1/2 mm curve guitar saw just to open these slots up a little bit. I'm going to make them a tiny bit deeper for the tang on the frets, and I'm going to get on with refretting it. Like I said, we're going with Boston wire, which I'll show while I'm here. Bear with me 1 second. It's going to be 2.7 mm wide and 1.4 mm high. Bear with me a second. There you go. Never used this before. Boston fret wire, 18% nickel silver. I know this one is which one is it? Here you go. FW1427058. 18% nickel silver, 1.4 mm height, 2.7 mm width, and 1/2 mm, 0.5 mm tang. It's the second one from the bottom there. If you want to pause that and have a look, second one up. That's what I'm going to go with. Looks pretty nice. So I'm going to give that a try. And that's it. I'll radius to just tighten to about 6 inch. When I get to hammer it in, we'll hammer the edges in, then we'll get it all clamped down. Blah 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 blah. So that's it for now. Back later. Right, good day. Bright and early this morning. It's only 8 o'clock, but I'm not faffing about today because I lost half a day yesterday dealing with some person. Did the guitar from 2 years ago, and they come back saying my guitar wasn't right. I said, you're joking? 2 years? The guitar was right, by the way. It was absolutely bang on. It come and said it's a warp neck, I sorted it out. Anyway, come back wanting his money back and compensation, so tried to sort him out all day. Wasn't very happy. As a gesture of goodwill, I gave him his money back that he paid me to do the work, and I undercharged him by 150 quid. I only charged him 50 quid. Should have charged him 200. So I get him his money back, and basically told him to go and take a running jump, and hopefully he won't come back. I made him sign a thing where this is the end of the blah 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 whatever. So I lost half a day yesterday. I want to put that behind me now. We're moving on. Moving on with the 1977 large headstock Strat that I was refretting, and I waited till 9 o'clock last night to get it refretted because I wanted to get this refret done. And the frets are on. Now you can see they're not cut. They're still overhanging the edges there. But the frets are in. Nice jumbo frets. I used Boston brand, never used it before. 18% nickel silver, nice and hard. And I wanted to get them in. And again with the chipping, you'll see that the chipping's all gone. Filled all that in. Any gaps that are still there we'll sort out. I've sanded down the fingerboard. Don't worry about the markings on the fingerboard, they'll all be gone eventually. But what I need to do today, I need to file these edges off the frets. Get the bevel on the frets at the edge, and then we're going to level them, and then we're going to polish them. So a lot of work, all the main work's going to be done today. It'll be a well, I say it'll be all day. I'm only working 4 hours today, so I'll be to-ing and fro-ing. I'll be doing a bit, taking a break, doing some. I've got my new computer to arrive today, so I should be getting that built. I've got 2 computers upstairs to strip and rebuild as well. So there's a lot of jiggling about. So I'll be to-ing and fro-ing with this, but it will be done today. Looking really, really nice. Nice fat frets. Mike's going to be really pleased with these. So that's it. I'm going to crack on with it. I still use my fret press on my pillar drill because I haven't got I've got my arbor press, but I haven't got the hole drilled in yet to accept this this bit. Well, I say it's a bit. This is a tool for pressing in frets. You see that? We've got different cores. This is a 7 1/4 inch core. I've got all different radiuses of them, and we use that and we press them in using the fret press. Well, once I've got my arbor press all sorted out, I'm going to take it over to Clive Eastwood at Beaver Guitars. He's going to drill me a hole in the arbor press itself, and we're going to get that sorted. That'll all be up and running next week. So that's it. Going to crack on with this. Beautiful. As you can see, all the back's taped up. I tape it all up because I super glue the frets in, and we get a bit of squeeze out, a bit of run out from the gaps under the frets sometimes, and you don't want it running into the guitar. So what we do is we tape it all up like so. Stops us getting a residue because it's a bind to have to scrape it off and not mess the lacquer up. So we go that route and it's all done. So that's that. So I'm going to crack on with it, and I'll come back soon. Right, we're now moving on to what is for me the most critical part of the refret. I talked about this with Clive Eastwood from Beaver Guitars recently, and he was saying in a way my job's more difficult than his, because he's a guitar builder, I'm a guitar repairer and technician. And when you're building a guitar you don't come across this problem, but the problem where we are now is, or the problem we have now, it's not so much a problem, get around it, but it's when we come to levelling the edges of the frets along the side of the neck, because with a completed guitar the neck is lacquered. So what I want to be doing is I want to be taking the edges of the frets off, but I don't want to be filing into the lacquer, because I'm going to take them off with file. I'm going to show you what I mean really, it's probably easier to show you rather than explain it. So here you go. Now what I'm doing is, the frets overlap the fingerboard because we cut them. What I need to do is I need to go with a 90-degree file, and I'm going to file these edges, file these burrs off, or these ends off, and get it right up to the fingerboard. Now the thing is, this is lacquered and I don't want to be cutting into the lacquer, so what I do is first of all I keep this tape on that stops the glue running down everywhere, and once I start cutting into the tape then I know I need to be a little bit careful. Now I've already done this side, and how we do it is we take the 90-degree file and we do it one way and we go all the way across. Now you see it's not cutting, you can't hear it cutting anymore. It's because I've got right up to the edge, but when I get close to the edge I stop using this and I go with a hand file, and this is a number 3 cut hand file, Swiss made. And once I get close to the edge then I just go with a hand file and I just take it upside, but I angle it slightly toward the centre of the fingerboard, and all I'm going to do is remove any burrs at the edge, and I just go a few strokes of this. What it's going to do is it's going to take off these burrs at the bottom, but it's not going to carve in to the tape. Now once I've got really close, I can do the final finishing with the tape off and I can get right in close. I'm going to show you, even though I've shown many times on video, I'm going to show you. First I'm going to get my file clean, because you do get a bit of residue on there. So I'm going to clean up file. Here's file brush. Remove any residue there. So we've got a nice sharp cutting edge. Doesn't matter about me going over the tops of these frets and scratching them up a bit, because we're going to level these anyway, so that's not a problem. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go with this file and I'm going to, you see how I've got these taped up so we don't dig into the wood. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go one stroke all the way, and I'm going to keep a little bit of firm pressure so I don't slip off, because I've slipped off before and scooted across. And all I'm going to do is I'm just going to go one way. Like so. And as you can probably see, we're now getting right close up to the edge of the fingerboard. We're not close enough yet, I need a lot more work to do yet. Once I've done that, I'm going to go with a beveled edge, which is 35 degrees, and that's going to bring the bevel across on the fret. We'll go across with this one, bring the bevel in. I'll show you more about that when I've got this 90-degree angle cut, or we've got them straight. Now you see, we're just cutting into the tape, so it means we're close. We're bringing tape off there. Once we're close, I can get rid of this, stop using this, and I can then come in with a hand file. And all I'm going to do is just go up the edges. Slightly angled in towards the centre. All I'm going to do is just bring them edges over. And you see, we're not cutting into the rosewood over the side, we're just touching the rosewood now, which is fantastic because it's close to where I want to go. Now this one's still sticking out of it, so whereas with a hand file I'll just come across and I'll just keep cutting. Doesn't take that much work, but you've got to be precise. Just making sure I'm not cutting into the rosewood. It doesn't matter if I just get into it a little bit because I can polish it all back out again. Cleaning your files all the time. So I'm just probably a little bit clever with this. Because we want a nice smooth, we don't want your fingers catching when you go along the fretboard you're playing. Well, it's nice and smooth at the edge. And there you go. You see we're taking material off all the time. Now you don't get this problem when a new guitar build, because you don't lacquer it until you've built it, whereas this is already lacquered, so I've got no choice. I was probably a bit more careful. So something else to consider when you're doing this kind of work. And then we're more or less right up there now. A little bit more to do. So what I'm going to do is, because this is a little bit more, this is time consuming, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to get on with it off camera, and I may come back later with another update on the beveling. So I'm back and I've done the edging. There's absolutely nothing sticking out there. You can see we're all vertical on these frets now. Now we need to get the bevel in there, but before I get on with the bevel, what the bevel is, it's where we arc these edges over 35 degrees just to bring them in a bit so we don't get no sharp edges on the top. I could leave them like that, but we're a little bit, we don't tend to do that. We do bevel them in, or we can round the corners off. It's easier to bevel them because I've got a beveling file somewhere. Oh, there we go. And there you go, you can see how the bevel works. It's at 35 degrees, and we're going to do the same thing. Go right up to the edge here. I actually took it off the jig and did it by hand with the hand file just to get this last bit done. You can see we've not cut into the rosewood. If we have just a tiny little bit, it's absolutely not an issue at all. We're going to expect that when you're doing it by hand anyway. But absolutely smooth all the way down. Now we're going to put the bevel in. And same principle, start at this end and just work your way one direction. And we're going to put that bevel over. Now how do we know when to start? I'll tell you when we know when to start. Once we start getting a drop of brown dust on here, we know we're hitting the rosewood and we've gone far enough. It doesn't take long, this. Check the file every now and again, check the colour. We're just about there. What you can do is, what I sometimes do is I just get some marker on the tips and we can see how much we've gone in, and then you can see, you'll see a line all the way down of how much you beveled over. We're just about there. You don't need that many strokes. Always remember to tape up these corners because you can dig into them. I've done it before. You can dig into 2 layers of thick, good, low tack 3M Scotch tape there. Just so in case we come back too far we can dig in a little bit. And there we go. Still not touching the wood, which is brilliant. Always keep, not too firm a pressure, but keep pressure going downwards, because you can slip across. I've done it before and I've had to refret the whole thing. Just about there. That's beautiful. Now you can just start to feel the edges again. They're sticking out just a little, and that's when you come back with a hand file. And all we're going to do is we're going to run, place a file on the edge, vertical, and we just roll over just a tiny bit. We're just going to remove these burrs. You can hear it cutting in there. And that's these are burrs off. Remember to just roll in a tiny bit, just so we don't mark the edge of the neck. And we're just going to take these burrs off. There's nothing there, no, only cutting at this end now. You just hear that? And there you go, they're all gone. Beautiful, a little bit more there. That's fantastic. Now what we're going to do is, we're just cutting into the rosewood there, so we're done. We've gone in enough. Wipe off. See there, we're just marking the rosewood. Just what we do with that is, take a squirt of lemon oil, squirt a bit on his finger, run it down that side there, and that's fixed. There you go. That side's done. We're going to do this side, and then we're going to come on to levelling. You know, we're level. I'll get it all set up for levelling. Because this one, we're getting, got the not straight edge. We're absolutely level all along the length. But just on this side here, we're getting a little bit of fall off. I'm not very happy about that. So what I'm going to do is, when it comes to levelling these frets, I'm not going to do it on here like I normally do. I could lift this end up and blah blah blah, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to actually stick it on the neck jig, and we're going to get this absolutely straight on the neck jig. Then we're going to do the fret level. So I've always got options. I've always got 2 or 3 ways to do a certain job, and in this instance, because the neck's not absolutely straight, and I'll explain why that is, the tang on these is probably a bit wider than the original. And what it's done is, where the neck was straight, where the tang's wider, we've just put that extra little bit of bow in the neck. I've got the truss rod right off, yet we've still got a little bit of bow there. So we don't want to be levelling when the neck's not perfectly straight. So I'm going to have to get that on the jig. I'm going to lift this end up a little bit more and get it perfectly straight. Again, I'm going to check these beveled edges. Looking beautiful. Could you go just a little bit more? So I'm going to crack on with that. I'll get it finished, and I'll come back when I've got this little bit done. There you go. There we go. That's the beveling all done. You'll see the 35-degree cut into a fret there. I'm not going to round these. I'm not going to. There's a few burrs on there, but I'm not going to take them off until I've done the fret leveling. So we're going to get it all up on this jig now, the Stumac type jig, the Vanson jig basically. We're going to get it all. We're going to turn this round on the piece of MDF. We're going to get it all strapped in. We're going to get this neck completely level. Then we're going to go and level the frets, and we're going to take these burrs off these edges with a regular file. I'll show you how I do that when I get to it. So now we've got the beveling done, I'm going to give you a better look at the neck fingerboard. Here you go. All the bevels are on there. We're all up to the edge. There's nothing going to cut us when we run his hand across here. Absolutely beautiful. So the next step, the next part of the process is fret leveling. Like I said, I'm going to actually put it on the jig. So I've turned it round on the piece of MDF. This is going to act as the body. It means we can clamp this onto the jig. We can get the neck supported underneath, and we can move the rods, steel rods up and down until we've got the neck absolutely straight. Once it's absolutely straight, we're going to skim across the whole lot of the frets till we're level. Once they're level, we're going to recrown and polish. I'll show you more when I've got it all jigged up. So here we go. I've got the 1977 Fender neck all jigged up on the jig. This is a copy of a Stumac jig I built myself a year or 2 ago. It's from instructions. It's called a Vanson guitar neck jig, or is it Vincent? One or the other. Anyway, I got the directions off there, built it up, altered a couple of measurements because it was in imperial, not metric. And I'm going to zoom in. I'm going to show you. I know I've shown you this before, but I'm going to show you again. And what we do is, we've got the neck bolted to a piece of MDF, and we set it level. Once it's level, we get the neck absolutely straight. Then we bolt this steel rod here. Once it's absolutely straight, we clamp it in. We set the dials to 0, which we've done here. You should be able to see that. Dials are set to 0, and we're supported underneath with steel rods with supports with cushioning on there. So we've got the neck absolutely straight and level. I've got my not straight edge there, straight in the middle, straight on the far side. It's a little bit of fall off on that side and straight on this side. Now what we're going to do, we're going to level all of the frets, keeping his arm, his dials, making sure nothing moves. I've got the jig clamped to this desk, to his table, so nothing's going to move. We're all solid there. Like I said, I'm going to level all the frets. Once they're all level, we'll get ready for recrowning and polishing. I don't always use this method when leveling. Sometimes I can get away with it if it's just strapped to the MDF this way, but the neck wouldn't stay straight. It kept moving about a little bit, so I've decided to get it all jigged up, completely straight. And it's the best way, you know, so I'm going to crack on with it. Welcome back. Skipped on a little bit, levelled the frets, all absolutely level, been across with the leveling beam, 240 grit that side, 400 grit that side. This was fresh paper on here today. I've taken quite a lot of material off because some of the frets didn't go in. Well, I'm not saying we didn't go in as well as the other ones, but we were quite high. There's one here that's gone virtually flat here, and this one's gone virtually flat. We took quite a lot of material off that one and one up here. They're all perfectly, well, they should be perfectly level. I've not checked them, but there you go. Perfectly level now. See this one here? It's completely flattened out because we had to take quite a bit of material off that one. So what we're going to do next is we're going to put the crown back where they're now flat. I'm going to put that crown back in. If we just zoom in here, you get a better idea. You'll see. I'll show you. This one's virtually flat, look. See here, where that was a curve before, completely flattened out. So we're going to recurve all these, get the crown back in them. I'm going to get the neck all taped up before. I'll just get it a good wipe over with white spirit. Basically to clean it all up, clean all the gunk off. It's now we do the first taping. We'll tape across all in between the frets. I'm going to get that crown back in there. I've got a brand new crowning file. I bought it from Tone, is it Tone Tech? Might be Tone Tech, or it's not Luffy Tech. It's a medium and jumbo size cut. Concave all the way along there. Really sharp this, and I'll be using this on this job today to get that crown back. I'll not be going with my 3 angled hand file. I'll be giving that a try. See how it goes. So I'll be back again later when I've got it taped up and commence with the work. You've caught me halfway through profiling today. By profiling we mean crowning or re-crowning the frets. What that means is where we've levelled them flat all the way across, we're now going to put that crown back in, that curve back on the fret. And what we need is we need a thin line down the centre there, and that's going to be the point of contact between the top of the fret and the bottom of the string, and we want it quite thin. Normally go for something round about 1/2 millimetre, but up to 1 millimetre I imagine is fine. 0.75 of a millimetre would be great. So what I'm going to be doing is using not so much a different method today, but I'm going slightly different in as when I do these edges I can see the arc forming on the edge of the fret, but that side I can't. So what I do is when I've done the crowning, take a red marker pen and I mark the tip of the outside frets, meaning when I get back round to the other side, when I turn this round 180 degrees, I'm going to crown these edges, going to do these edges as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show how I'm crowning these, and even though I've got crowning files, basically we're with a, you know, you can see the crowning groove in there which matches. I could go across and just use that, but I still don't like to use that. I like to use my 3-point file, 3-edge file with ground edges, and I like to do it by hand because I've got a feel for it. But what we must always do is make sure the file's clean. So I've got a good file brush and I clean each surface, because I use any of these surfaces, we're all the same gradient, all the same cut. And I'm going to show how I do a fret. As I explained before, I just come up the side straight, and as I do more I roll over and roll over till we've got from that flat, we get back to that arc. And I'm just going to do a couple. I'm not really going to talk, I'm going to do it. So I'm going to support the neck, and as you see, as I'm rolling over, this line of Sharpie there is getting thinner. And basically what we've done is, where that was flat, that fret, we've now put that arc back in. We've got a nice round edge there, tiny bit there, just needs a bit of attention. And that's it, we've re-crowned that fret, we've got that crown back in. And what I'll do is then, I'll go with the crowning file, clean it up, and we'll just go over the top. Just a couple of strokes just to remove any burrs. And there you go. Once that's done, take a red Sharpie mark this side so I know I need to crown that edge when I get back around there. And that's it, that's how we crown a file. Excuse me, just keep the camera tripod there. Then I'll go across with a fret rocker, just make sure those 3 frets are okay. They are absolutely level. We'll go back a couple as well. Keep checking all the time that we're still flat, and we are. And there you go, that's it, that's how we go about crowning. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I've got 11 more to do, so I'm halfway through. I'm going to crack on with the others. Once this is done, we're going to be ready for polishing. You know all about polishing, I'll show a bit of that sometime later. And now, here we are, the most satisfying part of a refret is the polishing. As you can see, I've got the neck on the jig. Strapped in there, nice and tight, not too tight though. We've got all level, we've got 4 different grades sandpaper, and we're going to polish all the frets. I love doing this. It takes quite a while, but it's the best part for me, because when you get to peel this tape off, you see how good the frets have come out. So going to get on with this. Like I say, long-winded affair, and I ain't got a lot of time today because it's my birthday weekend. I'll be knocking off at lunchtime, so I'm going to crack on with it and I'll get back later. Good day. I normally won't be working today because it's my birthday today, but there's a couple of things I left for today just to tidy up on, and this being the 1977 Fender Strat, the Big Head one. And all I've got to do today is polish the frets after the refret, which is I'm halfway through that now. I'm actually up to 1200 grit. And once that's done, we're going to get the fingerboard oiled up, we're going to get it back on the guitar, cut a new nut and get it set up. So I just wanted to basically just show where we are on it. It's all on the guitar repair vice. So I've already been through with 1000 grit, I'm on 1200 grit at the moment. It's just a matter of getting them all polished. So we're going with all 4 grits, 1000, 1200, 1500 and 2000 grit. They actually feel and look really, really nice. They're beautiful wide frets, which is what Mike wanted. Chunky. They're not jumbo, they're medium jumbo, they're not super jumbo. They're absolutely beautiful. Nice and wide, nice and high. Not too high, so that's why we're going to cut a new nut. I'll get that on later. So I'm going to crack on with this, finish off the polishing, and get it on the other bench ready for getting a nut cut, and we'll get the guitar all set up, and that'll be it. I think the next update is going to be the one where I'm getting the guitar. I've either got the guitar set up or it's going to be being set up. So no point me prattling on this day because I want to knock off early for obvious reasons. So I'm going to get cracking, and like I say, I'll come up with a final update later. Just wanted to go through this little part of the process with you because this is quite a it's a nice bit to do. It's quite, you know, so it's just removing the tape, and I've already started it off. It's removing the tape now. The frets have all been polished, and we're just gonna, and you're gonna see the frets for the first time with myself. It's really very satisfying to see the job you've done when you peel off the tape, and as you see, and now you're getting to see the fullness of the job at hand, you know, and the results, the fruits of our labour, so to speak. And there you go. I've still got tape to bring off the back side here. It's going to get stuck to the side where it's been clamped in place, but you now see, now we've got to clean all this up, clean all the residue of the tape off there and all around there, but you're getting to see now, like I say, you've seen the fruits of the labour. It's like harvest time. And that's where we are, look, and that's the fret job done. We'll get a bit of you get an idea. I'll have a look at the frets myself. Absolutely beautiful. They're really nice, highly polished. Job's a good one. You're not going to get any cuts without running up your hands up and down here. Like I said, I'm going to get some white spirit, clean off all this residue of the tape, and the job really is a good one. As I've mentioned before, next part of the process, we'll cut a nut, we'll re-oil the neck, fingerboard, and we'll get some strings on, get the guitar set up, and the job will be a good one. This will be ready in a couple of hours. Welcome back. A bit of noise coming from a paint factory across the road there. You'll have to put up with the noise. because I'm not waiting for it to finish before I carry on this guitar. I'm now cutting the nut and I'm just about ready to put the strings on the guitar. And I'm going to show you, much easier to show you than to explain. There's a nut on the guitar. Now this is cut from a blank. Basically I cut the blank to size, put it on the guitar, cut the nut slots using a nut slotting file. One of these job is, I've gone with I think the red lines I went with, the red markers. The marker, space them all out properly. I'm now going to put strings on, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this nut with the strings on. What we do is we get the strings on, cut the slots to the depth we need them, and then we file the top of the nut off. So basically it's where I'm at and what I'm going to do now. Now the slots are, I've cut them a little bit deep. They're probably a bit higher than they need to be, but like I say, it's a matter now of cutting, filing off the top and cutting the slots, filing off the top, cutting the slots. I'm always going to try and get this curved rounded edge over the top here. So it can be a long-winded affair, a little bit intricate, but fun all the same. I've got my Hosco files which I use. You know all about these nut slotting files. You've got two different cuts on one file. That's a 1026, that'll be a 1336, and that's a 1746. And if we need wider than 46 or 10, we just angle it slightly. So I'm going to be cracking on with that. I'm going to make sure the slots run virtually straight, horizontal, then I'm just going to angle them down just a little bit. It's how we do it. So I'm going to get the strings now, I'm going to put the strings on, and I'm going to cut away until I've got this where I need it to be, got it shaped where I need it to be shaped, and that's it. The final part of the process will be setting up the guitar and get it all back together and get it tested. And here we go with this 1977 Fender Stratocaster, big head stock variety. Just done the setup, finished cutting the nut obviously. There's a nut, have a look at that. What a beauty. Hey, how's that? Fret job. Have a look at the frets from the side there. Zoom in if you want to. Beautiful work. Really nice fret job. As I say, I'm going with harder fret wire, 18% nickel silver, so there's more work in it for me. Yet I'm not charging extra for that, even though it's more tool intensive. I gave a good price on this one because I didn't foresee the extra work on the edges there. It'll be a little bit more on the next one if we have the same sort of thing, because I've extra 2 hours work on this. But absolutely pleased as punch with how it's come out. I've just set the bridge, done the radius, set the string height above the 12th fret, done the intonation. Absolutely beautiful. The guitar is an absolute beauty. The neck is virtually straight. Now, to be honest, I've got the truss rod quite, not loose, but I've got it right on the cusp of loose or nothing. And we're just getting a little bit of relief from that. Personally, I'd like a little bit more relief, but the neck's not having it, so absolutely happy with it. The straighter we can go anyway, without getting fret buzz anyway, it's going to make us a happier player, isn't it? So that's that one done. I've just been online and just checked the serial because I was told it's a 1977, and it is a 1977. Now the serial number is an S71. Now an S7 serial followed by 5 digits puts it at 1977 or very early 1978. And it also says, I'll put the serial number in guitar data. It says the guitar was made at the Fullerton plant, Fender CBS era, USA in 1977 or early 1978. Production number, blah 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 blah, 5 digits there. So it's a 1977 or a very early 78. So I'm inclined to believe that it is a 77. One thing I've done on the back, the bridge was slightly floating. I don't float these 6-screw affairs, I think it's crap. So I bolt it tight to the body. So I've got the springs nipped right up. I'm just going to nip the back cover plate on there now. And this guitar's ready to go. Absolute beauty. It's a pleasure to work on this. I love working on these vintage Fenders. I get a lot of them. I'm getting loads of vintage Fenders in at the moment. It's absolutely brilliant for me. You know, and I'm hoping when Mike comes and picks this up later, he's going to be happy with it. I know he's going to be happy with it. He'll be pleased as punch. See, there's no chipping on the fingerboard there. Got rid of all that. Really pleased with how this one's come out again. So that's it. That's another one wrapped up. Hopefully this video, I don't know how long it is, but I'm going to try and get it all wrapped up in one long video. so it'll be a bit of an upload, but I like it like that. Like I say, really pleased with this one. It's another one wrapped up, so that's it. I'm going to get it in its case. The owner's coming to pick it up this afternoon. It's another project out of the way. It's been a pleasure to work on, and as always I'll sign off by saying be good to each other, and I'll see you again soon.